What is up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dynasty Pros Fantasy Show. I'm your host, Bob Miller. Got my trusty sidekick over here, Tommy Harvey. Tommy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you tonight?
Man, I'm all right, man. I tried to start the show a few minutes ago, and
It didn't seem to quite work there.
Yeah. They're putting fiber optic cable all around my neighborhood, and it's really, really messing with my Xfinity. So I don't know what's going on there. So anyways, everybody, welcome to the show. Do us a big favor. If you haven't already, find us on YouTube and, hit that subscribe button. Helps us out a bunch. And make sure you visit dynastyprosfootball.com for all your latest rankings and trade value charts. So again, welcome to the show. Tommy, it's been a while since you and I have teamed up, man.
Yeah.
You've been busy with the Devi show. I've been doing the IDP show. Holy moly, man! It's nice to get back together here and just do a Dynasty show for a change, you know.
I mean, it's been a while since you've seen my pretty face too. So
yeah, we should call this like maybe like the Dynasty Pros Bald Guy show or something like that. I don't know.
Bald is beautiful, buddy.
Yeah, that's what my girlfriend just said. She goes on two bald guys talking fantasy football. So yeah, whatever. Well, all right. Well, cool, man. Well, let's get started with some stuff here, man. What's going on right now? NFL news. I mean, we haven't really talked about anything since the draft, so there's a lot of stuff to discuss there. And in this episode, we're really going to focus more on our post-draft, winners and losers. But as of right now, what's some news that's going on out there in the world?
So the NFL schedule is being released tomorrow, so that's going to be fun. Who's playing who, when, and where, and it's gonna be great. I know that they've actually announced a couple of the international games already. So
they actually announced quite a few of them. What games have they got going on? I was kind of upset about the Tennessee-Baltimore game. I live here in Tennessee, and I'm a big Ravens fan. I was kind of ticked off. I always go see them play there, and Baltimore always plays well here in Tennessee. So where are they actually going to be playing at? What's that city called?
Tottenham.
Yeah. I feel like it's like an episode of like Ted Lasso or something all of a sudden. So
hey, you don't know anything about them Tottenham Hotspurs.
No, I actually don't. So
anyway. Premier League for you.
What else? What's some other places?
Well, the first game that they announced October 1st is the Falcons and Jaguars in Wembley. So that'd be pretty interesting. A lot of folks funnel into that game and watch it, I'm sure. And then the very next week, Jacksonville has another game in Tottenham, England, for those who don't know. October 8th against Buffalo. That one will actually be, quote unquote, an away game for them. Their first game is a home game. Their second game is an away game. And then the following week, as we've already said, Baltimore and Tennessee in Tottenham. And then there's going to be a couple games in Germany, in Frankfurt. Looks like November 5th is Miami and Kansas City, and November 12th is Indy and New England, both games in Frankfurt.
You think Tony Khan has got something going on with Wembley since he's doing that AEW show, and now he's got Jacksonville playing?
I would assume, I would assume so. I mean,
I don't know,
that's probably why they have those games there in the first place, is because AEW is already going to be there. So
yeah, and that show has sold like crazy. I totally wish I could go to that one. All right, so yeah, we've got that. As far as some of the latest NFL news, excuse me, something that really stuck out to me. This Saquon Barkley drama is not ending, and it doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon. And reports are that they're not even close to making any kind of a long-term deal. So I'm wondering what's going to happen there. You think this is his last year in New York? You think he might be like a deadline type of deal? Maybe they trade him. I mean, what do you think here?
I don't see them trading him. I mean, they're a team that is looking to potentially make the playoffs. I don't see them trading him. It may be one of those things towards, at the end of the season where they revisit some type of deal. I mean, we're not even to June yet, so there's still possibility of a deal being reached. Kind of makes me wonder, is that the reason why they drafted somebody like Eric Gray during the draft as kind of a little bit of insurance in case they're not able to
absolutely
to reach some type of extension with Saquon. But Saquon is that franchise, so the whole problem is what they don't want to do is do what the Cowboys did with Zeke and just give the guy a whole bunch of money and then him turn into somebody who can't play anymore.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, besides maybe McCaffrey, has there been a big contract type of running back that a team hasn't wanted to get out of? I mean, right now there's been rumors swirling for the last month and a half on Derrick Henry. But, we can go into Zeke and we can go into some of these other guys that have signed these big deals that it hasn't really paid off. It's not been worth it. And I think it's just like default. I mean, you have to draft a running back by default. I don't care how many running backs you have on your team. There's so many of them out there. If you got to grab one in the draft if you're an NFL team. I mean, it's just a smart thing to do.
Well, especially this year, it was a pretty deep class of running backs. So
really was a lot of good running backs.
Being able to grab Eric Gray where they got him, that's pretty good guy to have as a number 2 running back.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, there was a lot of good running backs that fell to the 5th and 6th, even 7th. Some of them went undrafted.
Sean Tucker.
Yeah, exactly. Sean Tucker was a huge one. Like, wow, that one just wow, and he ended up in an interesting place. We may bring that up here in a little bit. So
sure.
Anyway, so yeah, that Saquon situation, I need some resolution there, man. I'm a Saquon owner in several leagues, so
somebody's going to give him big money, whether it's the Giants or somebody else.
Yeah. Let's segue from Saquon into Miles Sanders. I mean, he was the guy that replaced him at Penn State, right? So, there's reports, some of the beat reporters are saying that the Carolina Panthers are planning on, trying to get Miles Sanders involved in the passing game. And they have kind of a target of getting him about 50 catches this season. It's kind of like a safety blanket, to Bryce Young. That would be absolutely huge, because, over the last 2 or 3 years, he's never really caught more than, I think his highest reception season was like 28, if I'm not mistaken. But his rookie year in 2019 was a phenomenal season for him. His rookie, I mean, he had 50 receptions that year for 509 yards. I think he had three receiving touchdowns. He had 179 rushing attempts for 818 yards, another 3 rushing touchdowns. Scored 218 fantasy points that season in PPR leagues. He was a RB 15 overall to finish the season. I mean, that was that's a pretty strong RB2 production there to be a top 15 running back, finish as a top 15 running back. So it kind of makes me wonder how can we value this guy? I mean, gosh, if he got 50 catches, if he caught 50 balls in this Carolina, listen, I mean, Deontay Foreman was very productive in that offense. Right. And so if Miles Sanders is and gets these touchdowns and then he's adding another 30, 40, 50 possible receptions in PPR leagues. Wow. You would think that he would have positive TD progression, I would call it, from that rookie year in 2019. We only had 3 rushing touchdowns. I mean, gosh, if you gave him 6 or 7 rushing touchdowns, he might even finish as a back end RB1. I mean, especially with injuries. There's always 1 or 2, 3 guys that gets hurt that are kind of top tier guys. I mean, what's your thoughts on this Miles Sanders situation?
I actually expect him to finish as an RB1, top 12 type running back. Mm-hmm. I mean, last year he had, over 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns. So, I mean, that's
1,269 yards. I believe he had 11 touchdowns. Yeah. I remember the year before he didn't have a single touchdown.
Right. And he actually proved to be really durable this past season, played all 17 games. Whereas 3 seasons prior to that, he had only played 12 games apiece. I think that's been a lot of the issue is that not only was he kind of playing in a bit of a timeshare with because he had Darren Sproles there for a little bit, and then Kenneth Gainwell's been there, and Boston Scott, and a couple other different guys. But I think that they've kind of wanted to see if he was going to be able to stay healthy. So kind of limiting his touches a little bit allowed him to do that, and he actually put together a really solid season. Hopefully in Carolina he can stay healthy enough to help out Bryce Young there, because Bryce Young had a really good season last year, being able to dump the ball off to Jahmyr Gibbs at Alabama. So hopefully Miles Sanders is utilized a little bit the same way.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I don't see you. It looks like your video.
Yeah, it looks. I told you my internet's all wacky. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Well, I'll just keep talking then.
Sure.
Because I don't know what's going on with that camera. Carry on. Talk for a second until I get this camera back up and going.
Oh yeah. You had said that the Panthers are planning to try to get him 50 catches. His high in targets over the last 3 seasons is like 52 targets. His over the past 3 seasons, he's caught 20 balls, 28 balls, and 26 balls. Ever since that rookie year, whenever he caught 50, but he's put together more carries and more yardage on the ground, and that comes with more touchdowns. So if you're able to say he's going to run for over 1,000 yards and catch 50 balls, you're looking at a back end RB1, and that's what if you can get RB1 production out of Miles Sanders, now all of a sudden he's probably a guy who you've drafted as an RB2, maybe even a flex type of option. So getting him RB1 production is only going to help your team out.
Yeah, agreed. And looks like we've got our guy Goody commenting down there. Yeah, talking about how good of a pass catcher he was. He was just in a timeshare, and he was absolutely right. Yep. He played with Sproles. Yeah, enough said.
Mm-hmm.
And then Carolina needs to improve their line. Sanders had a top line in front of him at times and struggled to hit holes with speed. He's more of a finesse runner. Agreed. Sure. Agreed. So what else we got going on there, Tommy?
Isaiah Pacheco has undergone surgery on his shoulder and his hand. He's recovering pretty well from that. I don't see him being able to really repeat his production from last year. If you remember, he kind of took over for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then Edwards-Helaire got hurt. But with CEH coming back, I just don't see there's any way that Pacheco maintains that same type of volume. I kind of see it being more towards a 50-50 split, maybe 60-40 in favor of Pacheco. That also depends on health. Also, remember Jerick McKinnon was also re-signed for another season, so he'll have much more of an impact in the receiving game than either Pacheco or CEH will. But if Pacheco stays healthy, he's the much faster running back, so he's more of a home run hitter. I just don't see him being able to really maintain that type of grind that he did last year.
Pacheco was very, very productive last year. He was a nice surprise. I mean, he got all that preseason hype and didn't really do a whole lot of stuff there.
He's got blazing speed.
Yeah, he really, really does. And I'm a Pacheco owner in several leagues, so I'm kind of hoping. I know you were talking about CEH and all that. I mean, what do you foresee between, and Jerick McKinnon was extremely productive as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of hoping we see the same type of production. However, Edwards-Helaire was a little banged up.
Yeah, he had a really bad ankle sprain, week 10, 11 time frame, and that was really when Pacheco started getting hot, and kind of ran that throughout the remainder of the season. Also, towards the end of the season, Jarrett McKinnon was really involved in the passing game, and Pacheco wasn't. So all of Pacheco's value was running the ball. It wasn't any receiving. So with CEH coming back, CEH is more of the kind of the grinder, the in between the tackles type of guy. So I kind of see Pacheco moving more into that kind of that change of pace type of role, where he's going to be that kind of the guy to hit the hole and go.
Yeah, I'd have to agree there. All right, so Foster Moreau signed a 3-year deal with the New Orleans. What's your thoughts on that?
That's great personal news for him. He received positive results stemming from his Hodgkin diagnosis earlier this year. So good for him. Main thing is his health. I'm glad he's doing better. But as far as fantasy, if he's healthy enough to play, which he says he is, and he plans on playing, I think he could be a pretty good weapon for Derek Carr. There's familiarity in between the two. Juwan Johnson's probably still a starter, but I do think Moreau will eat into that tight end production a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I still think Taysom Hill is the guy to own there. If you want a cheap production at tight end. So I think that. So like I said, technical difficulties here. My camera just is not cooperating with me at all, and I just want to throw it right now. So
nice fancy camera you bought.
Yeah, I buy this new webcam and like $150 webcam, and this guy was working there for a moment, and now it's not working. I have no idea what. I mean, it's on, but I have no idea what in the world's going on. So let's move on. You've got some news on Kadarius Toney with the Kansas City Chiefs. What's going on there?
Yeah, there's a report that he could actually see more downfield work. He's been mainly used as kind of a screen gadget type of guy because of his speed and shiftiness. But in the offseason, they actually say he looks good running downfield and catching kind of those intermediate to longer passes. If he can utilize the speed that way, then I'm not saying he's going to be Tyreek Hill. That's not going to happen, but he could definitely be more productive than what he was with the Giants and early on with the Chiefs.
Yep. Hey, so you keep on keeping on with some of this news. I know we were talking about Van Jefferson right before we went live. I'm gonna fiddle with my camera, and I'm gonna chuck this brand new camera that I got, and then I'm gonna use my previous one. So you just you kind of take you take hold of this real quick, and
sure. There's also speculation that Van Jefferson could have a much larger role with the Rams this upcoming season. That would be very welcome news for those people who have held on to Van Jefferson for the last couple of years, hoping and praying that he would eventually find fantasy relevance. It looks like those hopes and prayers may be answered here in 2023. Going to have a healthier Matthew Stafford. Cooper Kupp will also be back. So being able to utilize Van Jefferson there a little bit more will help take the pressure off of having to find Cooper Kupp in every single situation.
All right. Am I back?
There you are.
Back.
There you are.
Looky there. Yeah, I don't know what in the world was going on. It was like, I don't know. It was recognizing it as some other camera or something there. So yeah,
I got this thing going on with my beard right now. It's like saying, "Hey, how's it going?"
Yeah. So all right, let's see how long this lasts before it takes my ugly face back off of here. All right, I feel like I fell off a bike and now I'm back on it, and then we're cruising now. All right, cool. So let's get into some of the nitty gritty here. Let's talk about some of these post draft winners and losers. And I want to start off with my guy. I mean, he's been my guy ever since college. I've loved him. I've had a little soft spot in my heart for him. And that's Cam Akers. What's our thought here? We've got him listed as one of our winners here. Do you agree? I think he's a winner, but do you agree? I mean,
I think he's actually a pretty big winner. a little bit of worry that the Rams were going to go after one of those high end running backs earlier in the draft, and they didn't. They waited a long time, and they ended up picking up Zach Evans really late in the draft. Zach Evans is good, but he's not a bell cow running back. So the worst thing that's going to happen to Cam Akers is that he may get spelled a little bit by Zach Evans, but he's not going to get that job completely taken away from him, which is very good news.
Yeah, agreed. I think it was very good news for Cam Akers. I mean, last year I had really high hopes on him. I almost felt like I was leading the charge when I said he could have been a league winner. And
towards the end of the season, he was.
He absolutely was. Yeah, start off slow, Sean McVay, Darrell Henderson, all this crap, and then all of a sudden, you give Cam Akers, an opportunity, and he was very productive. So I'm kind of hoping to see that. Some more of that this year. I'm an owner of his, even though we're going to talk about some trades and everything that's been made lately. And I did trade away Cam Akers, so we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Geno Smith was a winner,
big time winner.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of us had Hendon Hooker ending up there in Seattle, and they really didn't go and grab any kind of a quarterback at all. No one that's threatening the Geno Smith.
Not only that, but they went and got more weapons for him. They drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba and Zach Charbonnet, and all those guys are going to do is help him improve that already pretty good offense. You mix in JSN with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Noah Fant's also still there. Will Dissly, Zach Charbonnet going into the backfield with Kenneth Walker. That's gonna be pretty potent.
Were they the ones? Did they draft McIntosh
late? Yeah, in the 6th round. Kenny McIntosh. Yep.
Yeah, that's a nice little third down back for them as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So they listen. Geno was a top 5, fantasy quarterback last year. All right, and his situation just got better.
I tell you what, I actually in a startup draft. I drafted him today in the 10th round.
Superflex?
Superflex. I drafted Geno in the 10th round in a Superflex today.
I love it. He was someone I took chances in waiting. Everyone was going crazy at quarterback like they tend to do in Superflex drafts. And I waited and waited. I own a lot of Geno Smith, so I was extremely excited and very happy that they didn't go and grab someone to be his successor. I mean, because the way his contract works out is it essentially can kind of be a 1-year deal if they wanted it to be.
Sure.
But doesn't look like they're doing anything like that, man. I'm pretty excited to be a Geno Smith owner right now. So, and he's a guy I wouldn't mind trading for, depending on what leagues I'm in. It's someone I'm going to, trying to grab because I think you can get him at a pretty decent deal right now.
Yeah. I mean, he was really seen as a 1-year guy last year, and then turned into a really good quarterback.
Almost like one of those placeholders, Hey, we'll just slot him in here. We'll get a high draft pick, go take our next quarterback, and
nobody saw that coming. So good for him.
No one saw that coming. Good, yeah, very good for him. Who else was a winner to you?
Tony Pollard was a pretty big winner to me. I know that there's still reports out there circulating that Zeke could come back on kind of a really discounted deal. And if he does, then Zeke is that touchdown vulture that you don't like to see. But at the same time, Pollard was incredible last season with Zeke there.
Zeke, yeah.
Right. They did draft
Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah. Out of Kansas State. Deuce Vaughn is a change of pace type back. He's Darren Sproles, the exact same type of guy. Quick, shifty. Sproles was a little bit faster, but Vaughn is that change of pace type of guy. He's not going to take away from anything that Tony Pollard's going to do.
And the Zeke, you're talking about Zeke possibly coming back there, and there might be a little bit of pride that could get in the way here, because I've actually read some reports that he's been kind of having conversations with Tampa as well. So I mean, honestly, who knows? Who knows? Maybe he's just kind of buying his time. He's not going to get any super contract. That's never going to happen again. So maybe let's just wait until training camp, see if there's any kind of injuries that happen there, and just kind of take it one step at a time there. So that's what I feel. Same thing with Leonard Fournette. Those two guys, I think, are going to kind of play it the same way. I think one of them. It's just silly. Like, why would Tampa go and get Zeke when they had Leonard Fournette? And I don't know. To me, at this point in their careers, they're almost the same type of running back.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. They're the exact same thing.
Really, they are. They really are so similar to one another. So yeah,
one of those short yard type of guys that's just going to steal touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. So another winner, Sam Laporta. What's your thoughts there?
Oh, Sam Laporta, that was a tremendous pickup by the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
They traded away TJ Hawkinson last year. And then they turned around this year and drafted Sam Laporta, who is going to be their top tight end. He's a great pass catching tight end. The main issue with him, the main concern with him was can he block enough in the NFL to be an inline tight end? But with that Lions offense, they can split him out into the slot, split him out wide, rotate him into the H-back type of position, coming up, running routes out of the backfield. That guy is a tremendous pass catcher, great route runner. He's going to be dynamite there with the Lions.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about him. A lot of people were kind of drafting Michael Mayer and Dalton Kincaid. I kind of think Kincaid's a little bit of I think he's getting I think the hype's a little too much. Hope I'm wrong.
Especially with Dawson Knox still there. Exactly.
But I'm almost thinking that Kincaid is going to kind of almost more of the slot versus play more tight end, So, but Laporta is a guy that we're grabbing these guys in Dynasty, like rookie draft. We're grabbing Laporta like in the third round, I think
he snuck into the second round now, but yeah, back prior to the draft, he was going third, fourth round, and nobody batted an eye at him. But now he's going in that mid-second round just because people know that he's going to get targets.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So yeah, he's been a major target for me.
He's an example of landing spot matters.
Oh yeah. Everyone was so super psyched over this 2023 class, and people had these draft picks where they were treating it like it was something that was more valuable than gold, for crying out loud. And so now that the dust has settled and these players have landed in these spots, to me, a lot of it's kind of a letdown. Some of these guys, we're going to bring up some of these losers here in a little bit, but some guys, you were talking about, Charbonnet, and we're going to talk about Jackson Smith and Jigba. There's a lot of guys that ended up in weird situations that we had more kind of higher hopes for. And so now you're looking at these, everyone's got tons of rookie drafts are still ahead of people. Mm-hmm. And after those first 6, 7, maybe even 8 picks.
Yeah, the first 8 picks, the first 8 guys are really solid. If you got anything after that, I would look to trade it away for 24 first.
Yeah, because you're looking at your big 3 quarterbacks. You're looking at obviously you got Bijan. It's pretty much the unanimous 101. Then you got your 3 quarterbacks. Then most of the time Jahmyr Gibbs goes, and then you're looking at those 3 wide receivers. Your Quentin Johnstons, Jordan Addison, and of course JSN. Mm-hmm. And then that's 1 through 8 right there. At that point, you're looking at, what are we looking at? We're looking at
Michael Mayer,
Zay Flower. Will Levis, Zay Flower, something like that,
Right.
So, but yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, that's some interesting. So these picks, I don't care if it's something after like the 8th or 9th pick. If I still have 23 rookie, I don't care to trade them at all. I'm shopping those guys, and I actually talk about some of the trades that have been made lately. And I actually traded a 111 and really got a nice deal out of that. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit. So moving on. So we just brought up Sam Laporta. What's another rookie that sticks out to you that is a post-draft winner?
I think Devin A-Chain landed in a great spot there in Miami.
Do you really?
Yeah, I really do. He landed in a spot where they're going to be able to utilize him. They know how to utilize their running backs, and A-Chain is do what?
Speed guys, absolutely.
Speed guys, right?
That's all they seem to be interested in.
Right. But A-Chain is a home run hitter. They will utilize him with. They're going to get the ball in his hands in different types of ways. I see A-Chain being a super gadget guy, not just something that's like a Kadarius Toney or a kind of what Darren Sproles was. I see A-Chain being that guy that they're just going to want to get in open space and just let him go.
You think I was just kind of concerned about the 18 other running backs that Miami just can't seem to quit. These Jeff Wilson.
Well, guess what? Everybody needs running backs because they all end up getting hurt at some point. So
yeah, I guess
they
right.
They have a good stable of running backs there, and that team is built on speed, and A-Chain has plenty of it.
Cool. He's a guy that's been going fairly, later on in these rookie drafts. So that's nice to know, that you could maybe go and make a deal and acquire maybe some late seconds or an early third. And some of these guys are going to end up fall right in your lap. I know Jonathan Mingo's been getting a lot of hype, and
Mingo's been getting hype. A-Chain is actually risen into the late first round now.
Wow.
I've seen him go. I've seen him go.
Picking up a second or third to get him. Yeah. I've been grabbing like Tank Dell and Mingo. Heck, we just finished that IDP draft. The Dynasty Pros IDP Dynasty League. And gosh, I think I got Mingo like at the beginning of the third round. I was super happy about that.
Yeah. You're talking about, though, a kind of early to mid-second round type of guy. Roschon Johnson has a lot of value now.
Mm-hmm. I love him.
Yep, going to Chicago. They did sign Deontay Foreman, but only to a 1-year deal. Yeah. So he's basically a nothing there. So basically, it's going to be Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson for the most part. And Roschon Johnson has a ton of talent. If not for Bijan Robinson, Roschon Johnson would have been the starting running back at Texas. But, of course, he's not going to start over Bijan Robinson.
Well, yeah, you've been listen, there's not many people out there that know their Devy and know college players, in my opinion, as well as you do. That is your cup of tea. That is your specialty. And listening to you for years, if anyone doesn't know, Tommy and I are like best friends, been best friends for 20 plus years now. And, you've been talking a lot about, you've told me a lot about these college guys. And, I'll never forget, some of the guys, what was it, 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, possibly, you're like, you know what, man, these guys, these wide receivers at LSU, I'm going to tell you, this Justin Jefferson guy, this guy's going to be a stud. And you know what? He may not even be the best wide receiver on his own team. There's another guy named Jamar Chase. And I remember you telling me, you said, mark my words, in like 2 or 3 years, these guys are going to be the top 2 dynasty wide receivers to own. And then here we are. So, I didn't even know who the heck these guys were when you were telling me this stuff. So, I give you your props, man. You know your stuff when it comes to these college players. And Roschon is, why I say that is because Roschon's been a guy that, that's been look at Cody here talking smack. Roschon.
Well, here's the thing about Roschon Johnson. He's new to the running back position. He was when he went to Texas, he was a quarterback.
Wow.
And they moved him to running back because they needed depth at the running back spot, and he became their number 2.
And he's talented. He's a heck of a player. And, and a lot of people, he was that kind of late little, I don't know, you get these guys that people start getting these little crushes on when it comes to, these drafts. And, Mingo is one of those guys that people want to put, kind of raise him up a few levels. I think Roschon's that guy too. And I think it's because of landing spot. He has a very, that's all we were worried about with these running backs. Where are they going to land and who's going to be in front of them? And, who's going to end up in Chicago? Who's going to end up in Atlanta? Who's going to end up all these places? Because they've got a nice chance to really, really take over that backfield. And Roschon, I believe, like you've said, told me for quite a while, I think by midseason, he's their lead running back.
Roschon was a top 5 running back in this class, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And he was drafted like that.
Yeah. You've been high on him for a while, and, I'll give you props on that. So Cody can kind of chill out. He thinks it's Khalil Herbert's season. So we'll see. I guess
Herbert's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having, kind of a split timeshare there. That's actually what a lot of teams are doing now. So having 2, even 3 viable running back options is never a bad thing. I mean, it kind of sucks for fantasy a little bit, but real life football, that's great for the Bears.
Yeah, those workhorses that you and I grew up on.
There's not many of them anymore.
Yeah, few and far between. Yeah. So we'll see, Cody. We'll see, my friend. All right. So let's see here. That's some of the winners we have. Let's before we get into some of these trade evaluations, let's talk about some of our post-draft losers.
Sure.
Somebody that sticks out, who's somebody that you want to lead off with there?
This was kind of a question mark to me. Is Jared Goff a loser based off the draft with them drafting Hendon Hooker?
I don't know, man. I don't know, because he had a heck of a season last year, and he's got all kinds of weapons around him. I mean, he's not shown that there's not been any indication that Detroit looks like, hey, man, we're not going to be able to win with this Jared Goff guy.
But is Detroit going to want to pay him?
Well, I think they did. I think he's making a pretty nice little chunk right now. So
I know that. Well, that was from what the Rams gave him, though.
Okay, well, that's a big difference.
I think there's a little bit of discussion of an extension with him if they want to give him an extension. Are they trying to incentivize him to go ahead and sign one since they drafted Hendon Hooker now? I know that Dan Campbell came out and said that Hendon Hooker's not going to be playing for a while, but is a while 1 year? I mean, he is.
Yeah, he said he was going to kind of redshirt, quote unquote, redshirt this.
Right, he is coming off an ACL injury. He says he's going to be ready by training camp, but you never want to rush those type of things, especially if you're able to sit behind a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback for a year or two, however long the Lions decide. But
I think the offense, when I give it a little bit more thought, I think it might cater to Hooker a little bit more.
Yeah, Jameson Williams kind of plays that Jalen Hyatt role.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
I mean, a home run hit, deep threat, Hendon Hooker. There's not a throw he can't make. I mean, his age was the little bit of knock on him, but you and I were huge Hendon Hooker fans before he was kind of a thing, and he was really climbing up the draft boards and these rookie drafts, as far as fantasy rookie drafts people were making. If he does take over that team, he's got weapons. I mean, You've got Amon-Ra, you've got Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta. I mean, you've got and they may even bring in someone else. So he will have all of the weapons to be highly successful there. And if he starts, I think he will be a more productive fantasy quarterback than.
Well, because of mobility. His mobility is also what makes him that way. He doesn't have the tools Will Levis has, but he's a better football player than what Will Levis. Will Levis. Agreed. He doesn't have the tools of Anthony Richardson, but I think he's a better football player than Anthony Richardson. He's smarter.
Yeah.
He knows where to go with the ball. He's a winner too. Whereas Levis and Richardson have never proven to be winners.
So we can take those 4. Let's see. We could take those. your Richardson, your Bryce Young, your CJ Stroud, throw Will Levis in there, and now Hendon Hooker. There's 5 quarterbacks right there. I honestly think if we revisit this 3 years from now, maybe even 2 years from now, that Hendon Hooker is going to be the most productive fantasy quarterback out of this draft.
I would have a number 3, but yeah, I mean, you're kind of splitting hairs whenever you're talking about Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, and then I think Hendon Hooker's right behind them.
I put them in front. I don't know if none of these teams have the weapons that Detroit does. Listen, I mean, I don't know how excited I am about DJ Chark and Adam Thielen in Carolina. Sure. I mean, and Jonathan Mingo, I mean, it's a cute little thing to go and grab him, just because you think he may emerge in a year or two as the number 1, but still, I mean, that's high hopes there. Houston doesn't really have much going on there.
Does Nico Collins not do it for you there?
No, Nico Collins. I mean, didn't they sign Robert Woods? I mean, something like that.
Yeah, so, they signed Robert Woods, and they also signed Dalton Schultz and Noah Brown from the Cowboys.
Yeah, so I don't know about the weapons there. However, and Anthony Richardson, that's a whole different ball game there, man. I mean, I think he's still more of a project, and I mean, his legs will, kind of raises his floor. But I think too many people are just trying to project this Lamar Jackson thing on him. They think that he's just the next Lamar or something.
He's a mid 50% passer. That's what he's going to be. I mean. Yeah. On a good year, he may reach 60%, but that's not good.
No, not in today's NFL.
No,
maybe 25 years ago. I mean, something, but not in today's game. So, like I said, I honestly think. I mean, we could look back at this. I think in 2 years, 3 years, Hendon Hooker is the most productive fantasy quarterback that's come out of this draft.
So does that make Jared Goff a winner or a loser here?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Wasn't that the question?
Yeah. Is Jared Goff, in my opinion, is a little bit of a loser because of the draft.
I tend to agree. I mean, if he would be a winner if they didn't draft Hendon Hooker, but now he's got Hendon Hooker kind of, kind of chomping at his heels. So something goes wrong.
If not now, then within the next year.
Yeah, exactly. So it might that move could probably make Jared Goff kind of renegotiate, money. As well. So that's to be determined, to be continued. But
or look to move on somewhere else.
Absolutely. So the drafting of Hendon Hooker is definitely it makes Jared Goff's time there in Detroit maybe a little bit more limited. Because same thing. If he would have been in Seattle, we would have been saying the same thing about Geno Smith.
Right.
So yep. I tend to agree. I do see that Jared Goff's a little bit of a loser in this after this draft. Tyler Algier. I mean, would we call him a loser?
Well, yeah, 100%. Most. I mean, he may be the biggest loser of the draft. His spot's gone.
Yeah.
Bijan Robinson is the undoubted number 1 there in Atlanta.
So you don't think Cordero Patterson's really going to challenge Bijan?
Cordero Patterson barely challenged Tyler Algier, so no.
Yeah.
Bijan
they might find ways to get him the ball, but the guy's like 50 years old.
Yeah. Bijan is the Dynasty RB1. So he's definitely the guy in Atlanta now, and Algier's basically nothing but depth.
Yeah, and especially with Atlanta's, Atlanta's a run heavy team, so I mean everything just works. I mean the stars aligned for Bijan and Bijan owners. So big fan of that. So we kind of talked about some losers. We were talking about Khalil. We talked about the Chicago Bears backfield. We were not going to harp on that any longer. Jackson Smith and Jigba. To me, I think he's a post-draft loser. I really wanted to see him end up, as the number 1. I mean, a lot of people had him, mocked to Houston. That would have been beautiful. He could have been, the next. To me, he's the same kind of player as Amon-Ra St. Brown. I really wanted to see that type of production, but being in Seattle, I don't think he's going to be very productive this year, or highly productive at least. Very inconsistent with Tyler Lockett still being there, and Tyler Lockett doesn't look like he's really slowing down much. Anyways, Tyler Lockett may they may move on from him this time next year, and that'd be great. But JSN, to me, I don't see him as being, the number one wide receiver in Seattle unless they move on from DK. I mean, what's your thoughts there?
Call me crazy. A little bit of a hot take here. By midseason next year, JSN will be their wide receiver one. He will be considered their wide receiver one. He's mainly because of the targets he's going to get. They'll eventually move on from Tyler Lockett, and if they don't, then he'll end up being Deshaun Jackson, where he just is a speed guy. DK Metcalf is a big 50-50 ball guy. Has a lot of speed. He's going to go up over the top of people, make really athletic, really spectacular catches. But JSN is going to be the target hog. Okay.
All right. That's good to know. Good to know. I was kind of a little bit the other direction on that. So that's interesting that you say that. I guess we'll have to look back at that and see. I'm just kind of hard with DK being on that team. Anybody taking over as the number one.
But DK doesn't he's not a volume guy.
No, he's not.
I think JSN's going to be the volume guy.
Okay. Well, then that's good. Then that's very, very good. All right. Who's somebody else, another player or two that sticks out to you that's kind of a post-draft loser?
Well, let's stay there in Seattle. Let's talk about their backfield.
Oh, God.
Everybody was wanting Zach Charbonnet to go somewhere where he could have been a 3-down back.
Dallas.
Dallas would have been great.
Yeah.
A couple other spots. I mean, you had
Atlanta was one of those.
Atlanta, yeah, Atlanta, but they took Bijan. Tampa would have been great for him.
I was thinking Tennessee would have been a really, really good spot for him to kind of sit behind Derrick Henry, because with them kind of shopping Henry, it makes you really think that his time there's limited. It could be coming to an end.
Yeah, but with running backs, you don't want them to sit. You want those running backs to come in and be able to plug away from day one, because they have a limited shelf life. So I like that Seattle in a real life situation has drafted weapons. I don't necessarily like that for fantasy value for Charbonnet and even Kenneth Walker now.
Yeah. We really don't know. I mean, Pete Carroll's never really had a problem with drafting these guys. I mean, who was the starting running back a couple of years ago there in Seattle? Yikes. They had a really nice running back, and then they go and draft that one dude later on in the draft. They drafted that guy really later on, and then he ended up taking over as a starter.
I don't even know who you're that they had Marshawn Lynch for a while.
Chris Carson.
There you go.
Yeah, it was Carson, I believe.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me, with his history, if Charbonnet took over this backfield. I mean, it's crazy. Kenneth Walker was a heck of a player, but it could be a 1-2 punch there, and which would be highly frustrating.
And Pete Carroll has experience with that. I mean, if you look at his time back at Southern Cal, he had Reggie Bush and
the guy that went to the Titans,
Lindale White.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, both those guys were very, very good running backs. Obviously, Reggie Bush was dynamic. Maybe the greatest college football player ever. But Pete Carroll has experience with being able to utilize guys. I just kind of see Walker and Charbonnet as kind of the same dude, though.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I think they're both good running backs.
Okay.
They both have decent speed. They both have decent vision. Neither one of them are home run hitters, but they're going to get the job done. And you can utilize both of them out of the backfield a little bit. Charbonnet a little bit more. Charbonnet is a little bit better of a pass catcher, but I just think they're both basically the same guy. So I mean, maybe that's the plan, is just to keep them fresh.
Maybe so. But But until we see it on the field, man, it
Yep.
could be highly frustrating because
Yep.
I know Kenneth Walker owners were extremely ticked off, and the same thing with anyone who had already had the rookie drafts and you were a Charbonnet owner, or if you were in a Devy league and you were a Charbonnet.
Because Charbonnet was going mid to late first round.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, now you may be looking to get him very, very back into the first, early second.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, before we wrap up the show today, let's talk about a few Dynasty trades. And I'm going to try something here, so bear with me, but I'm going to try to kind of share my screen and look at some recent trades that we have going on. So let's hang tight. Give me just a second. Let me find these on the old Twitter. All right. All right. We've gotten a lot of. I sent something out a few hours back earlier today about sending us some trades. We're gonna, go through a handful of them on the show tonight. Probably don't need to harp on this one a whole lot, but I do kind of want to show it off a little bit. So hang with me here. Let's see what I can get going here. Here we go. All right, let's go here. And let's first look at this trade here. I pulled this magnificent little baby off yesterday. Tommy, I think I even called you and kind of told you about this one.
Yeah, this is the most ridiculous trade I've seen this year.
Yeah, this guy reached out to me in this league, and I kind of blurred out his name there. You can't see it, bless his heart. I didn't want people just annihilating him online or anything. But anyways, he reached out to me. I had the 102 and I have the 104 and the 111. It was a startup this year with the Daily Dynasty show. It was a league that they started that they asked me to be a part of, and made a lot of trades. But he was he didn't let you draft the rookies, this year's rookies, in the startup, so he still had 2023 draft to be held separate. I ended up I had the 102, so I kind of drafted my team accordingly because I was going to take one of these rookie quarterbacks at 102. I ended up taking Geno Smith and a couple of guys there. I picked up the 104. I traded a guy. I don't know. I traded about 2-3 weeks ago. I traded Mark Andrews to someone for 104 and 111. I couldn't pass up on that deal. I said, I'll find a tight end somewhere else. But 104 and 111, I'm going to grab another one of those quarterbacks. So at that point, I'm like, I've got 102, 104. And then maybe, I'll grab two of the three, running, or two of the three quarterbacks here. And then maybe I'll grab Michael Mayer, Dalton Kincaid, something like that at 111 and kind of fill that hole I had created. And this guy just reaches out to me yesterday and he was like, hey, man, are you still interested in the 101? I'd be willing to move back to 102. So I was like, yeah, what are you thinking? He's like, nothing crazy. He's like, how about a second round pick? Give me your 102 and a second round pick next year in 2024. And you can move up to 101. So then I asked him for Dulcich, the tight end out of Denver. It's like, I need a little bit of production at tight end. Can you throw this in? He was like, well, you'd have to give me a second this year, like you're 211 this year. It's like, done. So I send the offer. He counter offers me, kind of rejects me. I'm like, dude, you told me that's what you do. And he kind of flip-flopped on me. Long story short, I was like, listen, if I'm going to give you a second round pick, I would want, and he wanted 111. What do you want for 111? I said, well, I'd have to get maybe Dallas Goedert from you in order to make that happen. He was like, I can do that. I sent over the deal and he took it, and actually, no, he sent me the deal. And as they say, I smashed accept on that. And this is how beautiful this little gem is. So Yeah.
Yeah. So you got Bijan and Dallas Goddard for the 1, 2, and 111. That's
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. And I asked him, I said, so what quarterback are you going to take at 1-2? He goes, I'm going to shop the pick. What? Okay. Whatever you say there, Chief. So yeah, we had that one. We won't waste a lot of time on that. This is more of me bragging. That's all this is. I'm just kind of beating my chest here. So I apologize. Forgive me, everyone, if you're watching. I just kind of brag about this guy here.
Nice flex, bro.
Yeah. Anyways, so let's move on to it. Here's another one I made just the other day. What's your thoughts on this one? You know, JK, I was the Cam Akers owner, and I had Antonio Gibson as some kind of running back depth. I was tired of this clown. So, me being a Baltimore fan, I really like JK. And I do like Cam. I like Akers, but I like JK better. What's your thoughts on this deal?
JK is the better value there. He's in a much heavier, much more run heavy offense than what Akers is in. Granted, he's going to get some of those carries taken by Gus Edwards and Lamar running around and all that stuff too. But Dobbins is just a much better running back. Akers is good. Antonio Gibson's nothing. I mean, he's almost droppable in my opinion, unless it's just a deep roster. He would be a guy who's literally just sitting on my roster and never playing unless I have a multitude of injuries that I'm just forced to have to play him.
You know, I'm going to take a look at something real quick and look at our running back values over at dynastyprosfootball.com. Hopefully that's showing up here now. Yeah, there we go. So I'm looking at this here, and let's see. We've got JK valued at 53 points. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's move down here. We've got Cam down here at 25. Maybe Cam could probably rise up a little bit more. Miles Sanders is probably gonna raise him a little bit. But yeah, that seems like a pretty good little deal.
Where do you have Gibson at? There he is. Gibson. There he is, 38th worth 15.
Yep. 15 points.
Yeah. You take JK all day.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and that offense, man, he could he could be a 15+ touchdown guy as long as he stays healthy there. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
And they run the ball so much there that he's worth having, even if it was a 50-50 split with Gus Edwards, he would still have just as much value as Cam Akers does, just because he's going to get the volume.
Let's see another one here. I've got a tweet from a Jason Keller. He was the first one to tweet us about some of these deals that he made. So let's pull his deal up real quick. Yeah, here we go. What's our thoughts on this one, Big Tom?
I'm going to assume it's in the Superflex league.
Obviously, this is probably a Superflex.
See, he got the 1-5, or no, he traded away the 1-5 and then 2 first rounders next year.
Yeah. He acquired Cooper Kupp, Lamar Jackson, Calvin Ridley.
Okay, let's break this down here.
Okay.
Lamar, you would take over Dak
all day.
So that's a win. Who are you getting there at 1-5? Are you taking Jahmyr Gibbs? Are you taking JSN, Addison, Quentin Johnson?
I think it depends on your need. However, right. Your team. I think that 105 is highly important. If you need a running back, then it's Gibbs. If you need a wide receiver, then you're taking one of the wide receivers.
Okay, so so let's just say he's trading wide receiver for wide receiver there. So Kupp for either JSN or Addison or Johnson. Mm-hmm. You take Kupp. I mean, you probably take Kupp, right? I would kind of be on the fence with JSN a little bit, just because I'm super high on him. But then where he kind of loses me a little bit is those other two first
First.
rounders.
Yeah.
Yeah. You trade away 3 first-round picks. See, in my opinion, Lamar Jackson and Calvin Ridley equal Dak Prescott and Darnell Mooney because Ridley has a lot more value than what Mooney does. So that kind of wipes out the gap in between Lamar Jackson and Dak Prescott a little bit. Mm-hmm. So basically what you're saying is that you traded 3 first-rounders for Cooper Kupp.
You think?
I don't know if that may be a little rich for Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, oh no, that's very rich for Cooper Kupp. Absolutely. I mean, Cooper Kupp is not a spring chicken. I mean, he's a little bit older now. Crazy productive though.
Right.
I think our boy here is
win now.
Yeah,
it's definitely win now.
Made deals. Yeah, I think Fish. I think he traded his guys away. Kelly. I think Jason Keller here that he's in a win now mode. He wants. He wanted Lamar. He wanted Cooper Kupp and Ridley. And he got rid of some of these first that he might have got a bad taste in his mouth after this draft. Like, hey, these guys could be ending up in weird positions, weird spots. And then,
that 24 draft is unusually heavy. Like the potential draft class next year is stupid good.
Yeah, I know. There's some really good running backs. You and I are in a few Devy leagues together, so we're highly kind of in tune to what's available out there and what's coming in next year, especially these quarterbacks and everything. But it's so unpredictable right now. You never know. It could be one of those situations. It could be a back end. Now that he's made that deal, one of those is his first round pick next year, and his team got substantially better, which is probably going to make his first round pick maybe a back end, probably bottom 4, bottom 5 type of pick, depending on the rest of his team.
Well, true, but I mean that J Runner 87's pick. I mean, we don't know where that falls. How good is his team?
No. I mean, yeah.
That 1-5. If that's JSN's right there. I mean, you're kind of mortgaging your future a little bit in order to win now.
Yeah, this guy is really in win now mode, and I get it. And you're going to have to overpay to get a Lamar. I don't know. I think I would have probably offered maybe a lesser quarterback in that deal, had it been me. But I get it.
I would have taken off one of those first.
Yeah, I think you're right. If you'd have taken off one of those first, I think this would be a good deal all around. But I think that Keller, I think you overpaid to get these guys. But I hope it's a
really good deal for Fish if he's kind of in a little bit of a rebuild.
He sold high on Cooper Kupp and got some young guys. He sold Lamar, got Dak, and Dak is a very productive quarterback. And Mooney, we really don't know what's going to happen there. He's hit or miss.
Well, same with Ridley though. Ridley hadn't played in a year, and you basically traded away Calvin Ridley and you traded away Calvin Ridley for Darnell Mooney. Basically, in my opinion, if you're saying Dak for Lamar and Calvin Ridley for Mooney, and then those 3 first for Kupp. I mean, Calvin Ridley hadn't played in a year either. And he's kind of on the older side. He's not young. He's 28 years old?
Yeah. He's not like a young guy. No.
I mean, that's kind of the knock on Cooper Kupp. And Kupp's only a year older. So,
win now mode. I mean, I think it's a good deal both ways around. I do think that Keller overpaid, but I think he's trying to win. And if he wins a championship this year, he's putting money in his pocket. So good for him. And Fish just maximized. He made a good deal. And obviously he wants, he may replace Cooper Kupp with JSN or whatever wide receiver he wants to go with there. He picked up a couple of firsts next year, and he still has a very, very, very good fantasy quarterback in Dak Prescott. So
Sure.
I think it was a good deal both ways around. Either way you look at it, Keller had to overpay a little bit to get what he wanted, but he's trying to win a championship this year and put that money in his pocket. And Fish sold high and got maximum profit. Got a really, really good return on his players. So, good job to both of those guys.
Yeah, I would say if you haven't made the deal yet, take off one of those firsts. Either your 1-5 this year or that the J Runners pick next year.
Let's look at another one here. All right, our boy Darren. Let me pull this up here. Our boy Darren here. All right, Tommy, can you see it here?
Yep.
Your thoughts on this one?
Fair.
You think?
I'm good with it because
really?
at 1-6, again, you're taking one of those wide receivers, whether it be JSN or Jordan Addison.
Okay.
And yes, T. Higgins is in a very pass heavy offense, but he's the number 2. He's the number 2 receiver there. And it's not close. He's the number 2 receiver there. It's not, I mean, yes, Jordan Addison is the number 2 receiver in Minnesota as well. Not even close, but still, they're very comparable. Higgins, I mean, they're not the same player. They're different type of receivers, but as far as their production, it's going to be pretty comparable.
I don't know if Darren's going at 1-6. I don't know if he's leaning wide receiver or if he's going. Maybe he goes Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, I mean, he could go if Gibbs is still there. He could go Gibbs, or he could go JSN or Addison, or even I'm not the highest on Quentin Johnston, but if that's the route he wanted to go, I mean.
See, I am a little higher on Quentin Johnston.
I would go either Addison or JSN there at 1-6 if I'm having to replace Higgins. But I mean, I look at that deal and it looks fair.
No, I just think I'd rather one of these guys end up as T. Higgins. You would kind of hope that one of these wide receivers would end up as productive as T. Higgins, since you already have T. Higgins.
Yeah, but you have to look at it this way. Is T. Higgins ever going to be a number 1 anywhere? He'd have to get out of Cincinnati in order to do that. And by leaving Cincinnati, he's leaving that high volume passing offense.
Mm-hmm.
So T. Higgins is a wide receiver 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said earlier, I think JSN is going to be the wide receiver 1 in the next year and a half in Seattle. And Jordan Addison is going to be what T. Higgins is now too. So
okay.
That trade looks extremely fair to me. Not only that, but he also got a 3rd round pick out of the deal, and that's kind of a dart throw. But
let's see what else we got. He sent us a bunch of trades. Our boy Goody. Let's see here. All right, hang tight. All right, let's see here. Let me pull this up. Give me just a second. Hey, I'm getting a bunch of feedback and a bunch of echo from your computer or something going on there.
Is that something new? Because it hadn't been going on all.
Yeah, it just happened a minute ago.
It's weird.
Yeah. All right, hang tight. All right, here we go. This is our last one we're gonna do here. All right, can you see it?
Yeah, it's a little small, but I can see it. I can make it
Oh,
up.
okay. It is a little small. Well, let me read it off to you here just in case. Looks like Goody, our boy Goody, traded Kyler Murray. I don't know. Is this a super flex league? I would hope so. But Kyler for a 2-3, 2-5, and 3-5? Or no, Goody received Kyler. Okay. So yeah, he traded 2-3, 2-5, and 3-5 for Kyler. That's a win.
I like that deal for Goody.
Absolutely.
Well, let me talk to you here. Yeah.
Yeah.
At 2-3, 2-5, and 3-5, what are you going to get there that's better than Kyler Murray?
Who knows?
I mean, if you're getting those picks, you're kind of looking to kind of stockpile a little bit. I would have wanted a first rounder for Kyler Murray, but
without a doubt. Yeah.
Because you're not going to replace that production.
Gosh, no.
Anywhere in the second round.
No. I mean, that was a home run.
Unless you're just needing warm bodies to put in your lineup.
I'd give that up all day.
Yeah.
All day. So,
yeah. Goody did a good job on that.
Yeah, good job to you, Goody. I don't think that was any league that I'm in. So, yeah. All right. So, I think that's it. We've got a lot more trades, and maybe we'll pull those up on our next episode, on our next show. We don't want to, we've been going a little over an hour on this. So, that was a good show there. So, want to thank everybody for watching this episode. Make sure you're tuning in next week. I think, Tommy, when's your next Devy show coming up?
Monday.
Okay. Yeah. And tune in tomorrow. I think does JT have a show tomorrow?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah. JT's the Brew with JT Stew, if I'm not mistaken, will be airing tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. We've got about 4 or 5 different shows airing over at the Dynasty Pros network on YouTube. So if you're not a subscriber, be sure to hit that little button there and subscribe to us, because we have a lot of good content coming out. Tommy and I will be back on this in a couple of weeks, and be on the lookout for me. If you're in an IDP league, we'll have an IDP show coming up next week as well. So for myself, for Bob, for Tommy, we want to thank you for watching the show. We'll see you next time around. Thanks, guys.